Good morning, everybody. So as Rachel said, today we're going to take a look at Jet Reports. From a very basic level, we're going to have a look at what Jet Reports is, how it works, and we'll show you some of the reports that you can get as standard, and obviously how you can make reports as well. So hopefully you can all see my screen. And what you should see on my screen is Excel. I'm sure you're all familiar with what Excel is, so I won't go into that. What is Jet Reports? Jet Reports is an add-on to Excel. What you should see up in the top of my ribbon here is a little bit that says Jet Reports. That then links directly into the back end of Business Central, into the tables and the fields that you can access there. The kind of idea being is you can pull that data from Business Central into Excel. You can manipulating it using some of the Jet Report functions that we're going to go through, but you can also use your Excel skills and the functionality built into Excel, which is quite vast, to turn that data into kind of usable information for you, whether it's in charts or pivot tables, however you need to use it from that point of view. So how does it do it? So on the top of my screen, you should see a ribbon here. And along the ribbon, you'll see quite a lot of different information. What we're going to look at first is this settings sections over here. So when you start with Jet Reports, what you do is you set up a data source. That data source is what links you into Business Central. You'll see here I have a Business Central one. And if I go into my data source settings, you'll be able to see how it's linking in there. Now, it uses something called web services, but all you need to know is that's linking directly into Business Central. And because it's going through Business Central, it does actually make use of your permissions as well. So on my company list down here, if you only have permissions to see, say, 1 or 2 companies, that's all you're going to see on the list down there. You won't see any of the others that you don't have permissions for. So once you've got Jet up installed and running on Excel, you've got your data source set up, you can then start building some reports. The important bit to note here is that it's a licensed-based product. So depending on what license you have, you will see different options along the top of the ribbon here. I'm currently set as a designer, which means I can see all my tools and functions around here. You also have viewers, which can't design reports but can refresh the data and view it. And then you pretty much have everybody else that can view the report that you've made, but they can't refresh data, they can't change any of the elements along there. Okay, so we've connected our data source. We're a designer, so we know we can design reports. How do we actually start creating the reports? Jet provides you with a number of functions that will help you build your reports as standard. And everything you do in Jet is built upon these kind of 4 functions and the functionality underneath them. So our NL function up the top here is kind of how you pull your data through to the report. The way I like to kind of say it is it's your key record. If I want to pull information from my customer card or my sales order information, this is where you're defining that key information. The reason we pull it as a key information kind of table is that we don't want to keep referencing back to Business Central. We want to be able to pull our data, then use that data. It means less callback to the database, and it means that everything's going to run faster. So the key point is just making sure you know what you want to pull at this point. After that, we've got a few other functions. So your NF is your field level function, and that pulls from your key NL function. So if I have my customer table, for instance, you'd use your NF function to pull your customer name, your customer description, your address, your balance information, all those kind of things there. Your NP function are functions that allow you to change data, and they link into your other functions as well. So if you want to pull through a date filter, if you want to do some manipulation with it, you can use your NP functions. And then your GL functions are very much around the financial side of the system, so budgets, balances, and everything else like that. You can use specifically using your GL functions there. So as I say, everything that Jet does is based on these 4 functions, and the key 2 that you'll use most of all when you get started with Jet are these 2 here. But in saying that, when you are starting with Jet, they want to make it a little bit easier for you to start building your reports. And if you're having to go at the very base layer and use these functions, it can take quite a while. So to help with that, they give you some wizards that you can use to create your reports. The main ones that you'd probably be using are your report wizard and your table builder here, and even in your browser. So I'll show you what they do. We go into our report wizard. Excuse the slowness of it loading up. There we go. So key point to note here, actually, as the wizard comes up, that you can use Jet reports to report between companies in Business Central. So you don't have to be defined by one company that you're working with. You can make it link in between different companies there. But it gives you an idea of what your data source, what your company is, and then what is the base table you want to use. Before we go too much into this, one of the important things that you need to know when you are using Jet reports is planning your report before you start building it is critical. So knowing what tables you're going to get, knowing what fields you want to get, knowing what tables link together as well becomes quite important. Now, that's not something we expect you to know as you start off, but it is something that you will learn as you get used to the product and get used to how it works as well. So for instance, knowing that your customer table links to your customer ledger entry table and how that links becomes quite important. So for now, I'll choose my customer table. I'll select the fields that I want to put in. So in here, we'll choose our customer number. And again, these are all things that you will get used to as you go, but Jet makes it quite easy to kind of bring through this information for you as well. So we'll choose a couple of standard ones. We'll have a look at our balance and our balance FCY, and we'll click next. When you are on the wizards as well, you can change the order of the fields that you want. And we'll click next on that. Do I want to add any filters? Filters comes as standard in there, and it works very much the same way as Business Central does. So for those of you that are used to putting in date filters and kind of searching for individual customers using the filter functionality in Business Central, it works in a very similar way. For this instance, because I'm working in a demo database, I won't put any filters on. There shouldn't be too much demo data. You can group your information. So again, I'm putting my customer list. So if you wanted to group it by region, you could do that. By country, if you're working across multiple countries as well, you can do that by adding some grouping in here. Let's say for now, we won't just do that. Sorting as well. Do you want to sort it by the balance? And ascending and descending, we can do that. And do you want to add totals on the bottom so you can see kind of the total balances for everybody at the bottom? We'll do that as well. Add basic formatting because that just makes life easier. We'll review and finish that. So very quickly, in the space of about I think 2 minutes that took us, we've created a base for our report here. So what you'll see on here actually at the moment is that doesn't make much sense to you. You're seeing the first customer, but you're not seeing an awful lot. And that comes back down to the Jet report functionality as well. What you'll see on the left-hand side here is a mode. At the moment, I'm in design mode, but beside it, you have the ability to run your report. Now, when you're in design, you will see the base information of what you're getting. You'll see this field here that tells you how you're getting that information. And this is, as I say, it's building up our NL function that we mentioned earlier. But to actually view and use the data, you need to be able to run the report. Now, Business Central allows you to run in a couple of different ways. If you're running very, very big reports, you can run it in the background. What that means is you can carry on using Excel and other products that you're using, and it will, once it's complete and run, it will pop it up. If you're running a quick report like this, you can just run it. And if you want to run from information you've already used, you can use the cache. So it just makes it a little bit quicker. So there we go. That's a list of our customers by balance, sending. So the bigger balances should end up down here. You can then go through and use your formatting in Excel to make that look a little bit nicer and better for you as well. One of the nice features in here as well is actually when you select the field, you'll see this drop down here. Well, if I click on that, what it will do is it will load up Business Central. If it lets me in, we'll have a look. There we go. And it will show you what the data is pointing to from your report. We'll let that load whilst we're coming back there. Okay, so I say that's a very quick way of how to create a report from one of the wizards there. If I go back to design, important bit as well is always going back to design. If you start making changes here, you might end up losing them when you come back to design your report. And I say we can do a number of the other different wizards. Fast Financials is very much around your nominal accounts, so it'll allow you to drag and drop information from your nominals out. You can select which fields you want to see, and very quickly you can build up kind of a budget versus your actuals in your nominal accounts and pull those out. And then you've also got ones like the browser here. This is a very good way of actually working out how tables fit together and what fields belong to what tables. So you can come in here and select it. You can also make things your favorite, so they appear on your favorites list. And again, a quicker way to start creating your reports as well. One of the other things you can do with Jet Reports is actually schedule your reports. So if you've taken the time to build your report, but it takes a while to run, you want to be able to see this report every Monday morning, you can schedule and batch schedule your reports to run Sunday night, Monday morning. When you come into the office, it will be there in a file directory for you to use. Okay, so that's a very basic way of how we would create a report. You can see up here as well, there's also a few built-in Jet functions. Fit allows you to define your column widths by what the information is that you're producing. Just makes your report look a little bit nicer. Hide hides the columns. You can do that at a row level as well. So it's there. I say that's a very basic, but you can go a lot more in depth. Jet do provide a load of sample reports that you can use and modify to how you want to use them. I've a couple already loaded up here so we can have a look. This is an inventory availability report. You can use slices on your data to say anything you can build in and allow you to change what you can see and can't see on the report. Because we've already run the data on this one, it's real time changing what you can see based on what you're selecting. And similar here, we've got a sales performance report. Now that is pulling data from a table. And again, here you'll see how that table is built up. You can run that report, select the dates using a filter. So that brings my data through into a table, and then from here we can use that in subsequent sheets to work out what our sales performance is. Say we can split it by country and region. We can see what our salespeople are doing in different countries. You can split it by your dimensions as well, and obviously a lot of other reports on there. So that was a little bit of a whirlwind. How does Jet Reports work and what is Jet Reports? Obviously, if you do have any questions or you need a full demo, you can let us know and we can do that for you. Thank you very much.